Alright, good afternoon, fellow YouTube vintage air conditioner aficionados. Today I'm doing a video on my 6000 BTU 1972 Sears Viewsaver. I picked this unit up last year from a gentleman up in Milwaukee who lived literally on the lake shore, who had had this unit stored in his basement for the last 13 years after he had central air conditioning put in. And I don't think the unit saw a whole lot of use before that, but undoubtedly he took very, very good care of it while he was using it and while it was in storage, because the unit needed relatively very little cleaning and it was in very, very good shape. And once I had cleaned it up, it really was in stunningly good condition. So I thought I'll do a little video today, expand upon the short little one I did previously, and show you some of the features and take some temp measurements and some wattage measurements, and show you what this kind of interesting unit is all about. It was one of the first low-profile air conditioners ever produced, hence the name Viewsaver, and it does make a pretty big difference when you compare it to a standard air conditioner in the window and then you install this one. It really does give you a better view. It's really pretty neat. So unfortunately it doesn't fit real well in a lot of windows because it is quite wide. Actually, when I replaced the side panels, I had to cut them down both by height and also by length. If you put in a full width plastic side panel in the frames, it wouldn't even come close to fitting in my windows upstairs because they have to be almost completely compressed up to the air conditioner frame itself. So really kind of wasted a lot of the material, that generic side panel material you can buy to make these. There's really very little in there, but that's what I had to do to get the unit to fit. But let's go ahead and fire up. We'll show you the kind of the fan speeds first. I do cover it later in the video a little bit. Well, we've got high fan, then auto, which does not run the fan because the thermostat is all the way down. Now it does run the fan. And then we'll leave it on auto. Right now that's the low setting for auto. There goes the compressor. And then there goes a medium fan for auto. Low, auto, high. As I usually leave it on auto. It's got two directional vents, kind of 1.5. The right side splits half of the center vent, and then the left side splits the other half of the center vent. And you've got your vertical louver direction as well. Alright, I've had the Viewsaver running here for a little while. It's on the low fan setting, so it's nice and quiet. We're getting about 44 degrees out of the evaporator on a 90-degree day outside, 88 degrees. So it's doing real well for a unit built in 1972. Once it's been run, it gets cold quite quickly. If it's been sitting for a couple of weeks and it hasn't run, you almost think it's out of gas, Freon, because it takes a long time to get running. For whatever reason, maybe it's unique to the Sears compressor in here, but it does take a long time, relatively speaking, to get cold upon an initial start. 5 to 10 minutes before it's really getting some cold air, but then once it's been run, within the last half hour, whatever, or it's during normal cycling, it gets cold quite quickly, within just a minute or two. It gets right back down to business. All right, let's take a look at the watt meter here. We're running right now on the medium fan setting on auto, and we're running just about 740 watts. So we're doing real well for a warm day. Let's see where we are today. 90 degrees outside, 90.3. So she's a warm one. And cruising along at 740 watts, so that puts the EER right around 8 for the unit in actual EER. I'm not exactly sure what the rated watts. I think it's 820 for the unit, so it's still not a bad EER rating unit, which is really surprising for being as compact as it is. It's kind of the premise for the unit being low profile and small, so the condenser and evaporator aren't real large, but yet it does real well on energy efficiency. It's not the best, but it's very, very respectable compared to some of the other units. Slide our door open, and you can see we've got our controls, or got our vent open and closed, our exhaust vent, got our thermostat settings, and then our fan control settings, off, high, low, and auto. We'll put it up on auto, and that keeps the fan on the low setting still, based on where the thermostat is set. If we turn off the thermostat colder, the fan automatically goes on to the medium setting, and then it'll cycle back down to low as the temperature approaches the set point again. So we turn it to go down again. There it clicks back down the low fan, and then the compressor will cycle off and remain on low fan once the temperature of the room is satisfied. And then if the room gets actually cool enough, maybe say like a night it gets real cool and the room cools off, the fan will actually then shut completely off if the temperature gets cool enough in the room. So it's a really nice feature. Alright, here we are looking at the outside of the unit. You can see inside there the compressor, a Sears rotary compressor. You can see how the louvers are directed, blowing the exhaust air, kind of projecting it outward, and then the intake air is pulling from the side. It keeps the hot air from being re-ingested into the unit. Kind of a clever feature. Looking inside the base pan condensate area. Added a drain plug to this unit, just like the carrier. Now, it's not the absolute lowest spot in the unit. There's an area directly underneath the condenser that's got a subcooling loop that's a little bit lower, but a drain plug keeps the majority of the condensate from collecting. It does help to have the condensate in the unit. It does improve the efficiency a little bit when it's hot out, but it's nice to drain it when you're done, dry it out. It's a good looking unit. Alright, really neat feature about the Viewsaver. I don't know if the similar vintage Sears Coldspot air conditioners had the same feature as this one, but one of the ones I really like, or this feature in particular, is the reversible front panel. Obviously it slides open for your access to your controls, but it's also double-sided. If you lift up and take it out from the bottom, the panel comes right off, has access to your filter, but then you can turn the panel around and reverse the process. Just push it up, drop it into the slot, and you've got a whole new look to your air conditioner. I don't particularly care for this style. It definitely is more dated looking, which I don't particularly care for. Then the other side, I kind of like the kind of burled walnut look. It actually has weathered time fairly well, I think, and looks real good. It makes the unit look fairly modern still, even being almost 50 years old. It doesn't scream 70s like many of the other similar units of this vintage. Alright, let's go ahead and remove the front panel from the unit. First we have to remove the front door. Now we have to take off our knobs. And now we can push down at the top of the front panel, which releases the 3 plastic catch tabs from the top of the chassis, and lift off the bottom 2 little spring clips. Alright, let's see if we can get in there and take a look at the tag. Here we go, cooling 6,000 BTUs. Looks like 850 watts, 7.5 amps. Model number 106-72000. Our serial number, 22.5 ounces of R22. And then 115 volts. So they got our damper in there for the exhaust air. And then we've got our little wiring diagram. Shows all the information and whatnot that you need to do to hook up the unit. And then we've got our condenser, which is actually, you know, said fairly small. I mean, that's less than a hand width tall. It is, you know, fairly wide. It's also quite deep. Looks like a 3-pass condenser, so they made it smaller and thicker, which sometimes I would assume would affect your efficiency, just making a, you know, more resistance to airflow, but it seems to work out pretty well. One of the things I'd like to show is when I picked this unit up, it was missing its filter and filter frame. It had nothing in there. The previous owner just had some generic kind of filter matting in the unit, so kind of trying to make the unit a little more original and correct. I actually made a filter frame. This is looking at it from behind the front panel, but it's nothing more than some 3/16 diameter and some 1/8 inch diameter ABS plastic rod material I ordered from McMaster Car, and then I just kind of used a heat gun to take the lengths and bend it, and then cut some cross pieces and use some special plastic cement, some ABS type plastic. It's kind of glorified model cement really, and glued the thing together, and then took the filter material, the foam, cut it to size, use the same glue to glue it to the frame, and then it just kind of snaps into place just like a original filter would, at least somewhat close, and it works pretty well. All right, and there you have it, 1972 Sears Viewsaver. Thanks for watching, and hit subscribe if you like it. Have a good one.